Okay, well, Hunter's back with Wrecked America, and we're delighted to have Anise back with us. Anise, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. I think I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, we're coming to it seem like we're things are opening back up in people's worlds in terms of this whole COVID-19 business. How are things in your world? They're starting to open cities back up, and so
Uh,
what? How, in your
yeah,
world,
it,
yeah, what's going
yeah,
on?
it's definitely opening up, but for me, it really didn't close because I've worked through this whole thing, and I've been able to keep the baby in daycare, and family still got stuff going on, so it really hadn't changed much for me other than financially. There were some loss of hours and wages in all of it, but nothing that I don't think I can handle. Is just gonna, I think this whole COVID is gonna be a lifestyle change for everyone. I don't even think that we have even hit the peak of the actual changes that are going to occur as a result. I'm real grateful that I have a job because there are a lot of people who became unemployed and will continue to be unemployed even after. This is a whole new thing here. Uh, I'm not a camera person. I was when I was in my 20s, but
Yeah.
and I'm surely not a video person. So this whole having these meetings, I'm about to give Zoom the biggest plug ever. It's definitely been a learning experience, and it's interesting. It's
Yeah,
interesting. It's going to be the
yeah,
new way of life.
yeah. There you go. So you were saying about terms of people you with your own situation, fortunate to have a job, stay employed. Some challenges there, but basically have a job, have employment. Other people not having employment, and you can empathize with that situation. So with respect to going out and having a job, but also have you felt um, anyway you had to make a choice, a life threatening choice to to get out there and work, and what was that like for you? I mean, did you
I don't
feel it?
really think that it's been a life threatening choice because of the area that I work in,
Okay.
and it being a small enclosed place, probably about the same size as maybe a large grocery store or something. Um, as soon as they started talking about doing a lockdown or a quarantine or anything like that, our company or the company that I'm contracted to immediately started sending people home. And, a lot of those people, they were paid while they were gone. So it's not, and they all have jobs when they come back. As for being a contractor in that situation and being an essential worker in the building, um, I probably am at more risk than anybody else, but I just have this, I'm already a clean person. I'm already a healthy person. I already do social distancing because I'm not the, cuddly, huggy, let's shake hands with everybody kind of person. Social distancing isn't hard for me at all. Um, it just isn't. I don't like to let too many people get close. I've been that way for a long time. Even my kids, we're I'll hug and kiss my children, but you know even when they were little, I just didn't let them hang on me and do that kind of thing. So
Hmm.
I don't really feel like it was a life threatening situation. And maybe I'm just making light of it. I don't know. Um, I think some people have gone way overboard with that, but I do know of two families that actually a member or members got COVID, and one of those families, a person died. So How does that happen? I don't know, but um, I'm not a go to this, mall and hang out or the beach and hang out, and I don't put myself in large crowds except for when I'm dancing, and even then, I usually stand with my hands behind my back or crossed across my chest so that people don't try to reach out and touch me with their hands. It's a kind of a body language that I have that says, "Don't touch me."
Right. Right. I got you. Yeah. I Monday I lost an aunt to COVID-19 who was
Oh, I am so
who's,
sorry to hear
yeah,
that.
and she was in that the most vulnerable population, in that she was in a nursing home. But
Wow.
yeah, so yeah, it's yeah,
They
it's
seem to be that seems to be like the biggest
yes, yeah.
the most affected is these elderly homes, and I have some experience. I worked in an elderly home when I was younger, um, and when I say younger, I probably was, well, I volunteered when I was like maybe 13 at one, and that was real interesting. And then when I was 17 and 18, I worked in an elderly home as a dietitian. And, back then you didn't have to have, 400 hours of school to do those kind of jobs. You could train right there. So there's there's a lot to be said about the cleanliness in elderly homes and the way patients are taken care of. I don't think that um, people that necessarily, and I'm not going to say all people, but I think the majority of people that work in those homes are there to get a check and they really don't care about what's going on with the individuals, which is why I did not stay in that field because when I love people, I love them so deeply and it really affects me. Um, and when I was in the elderly home, there was a man there and he was a real pain in my ass. He actually stabbed me with a fork in the butt one day.
What? What?
Oh yeah. he was a he was
Was he?
one of those prankster type, but he was an
What?
older gentleman and he had dementia and so he didn't know any better, I guess. But he thought he was flirting, is what he thought he was doing.
Hey.
And he ended up stabbing me in the rear end with a fork. But that gentleman passed, and it was
Oh,
heartbreaking for me. So I knew that that was not the industry that I would spend my life in. Same thing with child care and taking care of people in hospitals. I'm very much a carer and a very much a fixer and a giver, but my emotions will get in the way of my rational thinking when it comes to other people. I have to be very careful. But as far as this COVID, um, I haven't been worried about the threat of life or health. Um, I'm made sure to, follow all the protocols. I've kept the 6 foot distance. I don't shake hands. I don't go around people that are sick. I haven't allowed anybody in my house to visit. Um, we bleach everything. If we're not bleaching it, we're using ammonia. If we're not using ammonia, we're using Pine, all the big, germ killers.
hey.
Um, I've actually been assisting in bottling and labeling and shipping um, hand sanitizer. So I've been, elbows deep in isopropyl alcohol.
Wow. Is that been just for personal consumption, or is that a little
Oh no,
side bit
this is
side
for
side?
my the company that I'm contracted to. I work in a
Oh,
laboratory, and so the World Health Association put out a recipe for hand sanitizer and instructions with how to mix bleach with water to kill the bacteria or the virus, and so we started making it because as soon as um, everybody bought up the toilet paper, they also bought up the hand sanitizer. and we literally couldn't get any hand sanitizer. Being a major corporation, and when I say major corporation, the company I'm contracted to is all over the world, not just the
Wow.
United States, but all over the world, and they couldn't get their hands on hand sanitizer or
Mm.
cleaning supplies. So, cleaning supplies that they ordered back in March were just delivered this week. So
Wow.
that's how backed up that was. But they put the recipe together, and being in a lab, they were able to make that recipe in I call it a mini bulk situation. And they were able to distribute it um, throughout the chemical plant and some other places. I know that some of it went to like a sheriff's office in some county. Some of it got shipped all the way. Now, I'm down south, so it got shipped up north, and I don't know if they were shipping it there for them to mimic the recipe and bottle their own, but we just and that's like doing that small part in the world, and so I just turn on the music and start bottling and popping on labels and getting it boxed up and getting it out.
Okay, but that was for work. Okay, well, good. You're doing your part. Well, look, let's turn to. I sent you an article this week. Uh, Something came across in People article from People magazine. An interview with Jada Pinkett Smith, um, and um, I thought it was relevant for some of the conversations we've been having. And in there, she was talking a couple things, a couple salient points. One, she talked about having, um, after 20 years of marriage, coming to the realization that she really didn't know her husband. And there's a quote that she makes about uh, this, if I can find it, my way back to, yeah. It says Pickett said that she's now going through the process of having to dissolve all those stories and the ideas of Will that she's built in order to truly understand her husband. So, this idea that, or this reality that, um, you know, our understanding of people is based on ideas and stories about them, as much it is who they really are. What do you think about that? What did you think about when you read that?
Well, it actually reminded me of some things that I've gone through in my life. I've been married three times, twice common law married and once legally married. And I can tell you that when those marriages came to an end, I'm no longer married. But when those marriages came to an end, in retrospect, I can tell you I agree, because I really didn't know who I was married to. It is not the person when the marriages was over. Now, two of those marriages lasted 4 years, and one of those marriages lasted almost 10 years. And my second marriage, my husband was murdered, and we were actually in a separation when that happened. So, and after, I mean, like almost immediately after divorce or after the marriage ended, I could immediately start seeing that this person that I was walking away from was never the person I thought they were. And when I say that, it's almost like I created this knight in shining armor in this person, and come to find out that's not what was going on. And, you know, um, when I first met you, we talked a little bit about um, how I think what you're doing is so important. Wrecked America and these podcasts are so important because, girls are victims, but so are men. And I say that because,
Please
you know,
explain. Please explain.
Yeah, I say that because it's like playing poker, right? You think you got the winning hand, but the
Mm,
truth is you don't know what the dealer is dealing. So
mm,
with that being said, and I'll try to sum it up real short, is these guys thought they were getting this wife that was this certain person, right? But of course, like a peacock, I show all my beautiful feathers to attract them. But as time went on, well, or maybe they hurt my feelings, or they didn't live up to my expectation. Oh, well, here, let me take some of my beautiful side away from you, and the other part of that, and this is why I think guys are victims, because I see this a lot. I have two sons, and I really see it with them. They get sucked into the really pretty girl and the really sweet girl, the really great girl, the girl that's there no matter what, and then all of a sudden she becomes a complete psycho and they don't know where it came from.
Mm.
And they, I have
Where
a,
did,
I will say this. I don't believe that there's anything, um, I don't think any relationship is a bad relationship unless you end up dead at the end of it. And I tell you that because there's some things you can learn from human beings. It's how to be, how not to be, and how to treat people and how not to treat people. And you will also learn how you want to be treated and how you don't want to be treated. But going to that interview and reading that article and watching that little video, the one thing that caught myself was not just necessarily that she's been married for 20 years and she doesn't really know her husband anymore. And that happens so easily. It can happen not just in marriage, but also with your children and your parents. People change. And if you're not changing with them, then you're missing it. If you're not seeing the change as it happens, you're gonna miss something, and you're gonna get lost. Not only are you gonna get lost with them, but you're gonna lose who you are. You're gonna not know who you are, and that was one of the things I seen in that article. Not only does she have to learn who her husband is all over again, or learn who he is now, as opposed to 20 years ago, but she also needs to figure out who she is.
so let me stop you right there. Okay, this is good right here. Okay, so question is in from the article, or as you share about your sons with the ladies in their lives, and the beautiful woman to the psychopath. Here's the question: the person that comes to the forefront, it over time emerges, or you learn that's a part of this relationship that you didn't know was a part of the relationship when you got into it. Is that a new person, or is more of the person deep hidden away that's always been there now showing their true colors? Or is that person another character, another aspect of that person is now coming forth? You know, do you see that? You get what I'm saying? What I'm
Yes,
asking?
I do get what you're saying. And I think, oh, so I'm going to speak here personally.
Okay, please.
I believe that that person that eventually shows up is always been there.
Right.
But at the same time, that is a whole nother character. So I say that because, you know, um, like I said, I want everybody to see me put my best foot forward. This is her in her prettiest state. This is her hair. This is her with her hair in done the best. This is her at her healthiest state. This is her at her smartest state. This is her at her sweetest state. But there is also a person in there that is been broken. And when you have a person that's been broken, obviously they're going to have some character, what most people would say character defects, but is it really a defect, or is it just part of their makeup? Who are they? The how does that saying go? All the world is a stage and I am only an actor.
There you go,
So what
Shakespeare.
part do I need to play?
Shakespeare. All the world's a stage and we're just actors.
What
Like,
part do I need to play? Do
right.
I need to play the mom? Do I need to play the sweet, beautiful, kind, caring, loving, snuggly bunny girlfriend? Or do I need to play the role of I'm a woman, hear me fucking roar? What
Yeah.
do you want?
Okay, so let's stay here. And I would say this, and I want to go back to something specific that you shared in the past. So I want to make a distinction based on what you just said between acting or playing a role, because mom, worker, why, why, these are roles that we play. But I make a distinction between a role and a character. If you can follow me there. So let me flesh it out with something from your previous sharings and one recordings. So you shared about terms of uh, I don't know exactly how many years, but many years in recovery and doing step work, and in a flash, something happened, and you find yourself in this car kicking this guy's ass. Like where did that, where did this come from? Right? Remember that?
Yes.
No, but that character is there, right? That
Right.
in spite of all the work, but in that moment, that character is still right. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right. So, you want to talk about that? And I
Well,
don't mean talk about that experience, but I'm talking about that. To me, that connects to what we're
no,
saying.
I know.
That,
I,
that,
you know
that
what comes to my mind is that I think life forces us in a situation to play the role. Well, you cannot play the role if you don't have the character for that role. So I'll give you an example of that.
I like that. Okay.
I have a daughter who is very, very tiny, and she can be real vicious with her mouth. But if you were to put her in a situation where she had to play the role of some badass chick kicking the shit out of some guy, it would never happen because she can't do that role. That's not part of her character. Her character would run the other way and come and get her mom and go, hold on a second. So I believe that life puts us in these situations, or maybe it's the decisions that we make in life that puts us in a situation so that that character is brought to the forefront. And with that being said, in that particular incident that you discussed, I was like I think maybe 14 years sober when that happened, maybe 13 going on 14 years sober. I know it was like right around my sobriety birthday, and I had really thought that angry, vicious, and that's a scary place for me to go. I'm not worried about you when I get to that place. I'm worried about that about myself. And I say that because they talk about it in recovery that resentment is the number one offender, and from it forms all spiritual disease. Well, and that there's a prayer in recovery that says, "Save me from being angry." And what does that mean? Well, to me, what it meant is this: when I get angry, I become insane. I do not have control of my emotions or my actions or the things that I say to people, and it can be so damaging. So I'm really not trying to be like not mad at you. What I'm trying to do is save myself from my insanity. Um, so and I believe that, and I'll tell you that, I thought that guy and this gets back to not knowing somebody. Everything I knew about that person was totally not the truth. It was a person that he wanted me to see. And when the truth of who he truly was, who his true colors were, what his character was 100% made of, it hurt me so much, and it brought out all this anger because it was just, I felt deceived and betrayed and manipulated and conned. And man, oh man, how many fucking times have I done that to somebody else, not even realizing that's what I was doing? So
So,
when I say that I immediately got into communicating with others, especially men, because I'll hold a grudge against every man in the world for what one man's done. You understand?
mm,
Um, so I immediately went and spoke with some other men, and they weren't really focused on what the guy did wrong. They were focused on, hey, where did this vicious anger come from that you haven't had in almost 14 years? Where did that come from? Well, it's part of my makeup. It's part of my character. It is in there.
right, right,
And life forced me into that role. And so, or my decisions that I made in life to be with this person and have this person in my life put me in that situation. Now, because that character did come to the forefront, I was able to change. See, I was able to see who I was. I didn't know that's who I was. I didn't think that's who I was. And that's when you talk about the article from Miss Smith, that is something that really came to my mind. Is sometimes we lose sight of who we are, who our character is made of, or maybe we never knew that character was part of us. Um, so I learned from that, and I was able to grow through that and try to make changes to become a better character in the world of the stage, and play the role that I want to play, not the role that I'm forced to play. Does that make sense?
it does. Let's stay here. So, um, the role. I'll say this. So it seems to me that the role, uh, we play the roles. I like what you said in the illustration, the example you gave of your daughter in terms of, and I would say you didn't use this language, but I say not having the character to back up a role she plays.
Right.
Okay, we used to say back in the day, don't let your mouth write a check.
Overload your canary ass, your alligator.
No,
Don't let your alligator mouth overload your canary ass. Yeah, I know the saying.
No, we said, don't let your mouth write a check, your ass can't cash.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, being from Louisiana, overload your your alligator mouth, overload your canary ass. But I'll tell you, there's some truth to that statement right there, because believe it or not, that is something that my mother used to say to me. Okay, because I have always had a mouth on me, and it didn't matter. And I'll tell you, I've raised some kids with that same mouth, but I made sure that no matter what, my alligator mouth had an alligator ass to back it up.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So we're good on that. We're good at so. But here's what. So that understanding, but the character, because I know when you said about the anger and the insanity, see, to me, the character is a part of who we are. It's always there.
Yes.
What we do is in that, so I would say the situation you're in with the guy with that what happened is that character was there.
Mm-hmm.
That situation, whatever happened in that situation, triggered unlocking whatever basement, wherever that character had been pushed back to, and all of a sudden it's like it's on. It
Right.
comes out. It's there, and
Yeah.
no matter
Like
what.
letting a gorilla out of a cage.
Exactly right. Right. Sure, yeah. And if I can, I'll say, you've talked about that box, and you don't want to open that box,
Right.
and whatever happened, kind of some of that box got open,
Yeah.
and what comes out is there, and we play roles where partly what we do is we don't show that that's not necessary for the
Right.
role that we're playing. So we just
No.
kind of keep that, So when I go back to the article, so part of what I'm dealing with when I read it, it's like, is she talking about the fact that, based on what she has seen over the years of the facets of who he is, that as she's come to realize that it's different than what she bought into when she first got in the relationship, or is something. That's one way of looking at it. Something was there, she just didn't know it, and over time it's gotten exposed, and it's like, how much more is here that I never knew. That's one. Or the other is it something that has changed over time, and and it's grown to be something other than what she bought into, because there's been some change. I mean, and it doesn't have to be. It's not a matter of being either or, it can be both and. But coming back to, for you, I'm talking to you. What do you think is more fits
Um,
Anise? What is
I,
Anise? Is Anise? It is which one is more representative for Anise?
I, so based on my own self knowledge and things that have been pointed out to me over many years of trying to better myself, I would have to say that those things have always been there. And what I have to say about as far as being in a relationship, and believe me, I'm no relationship expert, but I have learned over many years that if I'm looking at somebody I'm in a relationship with, whether it be myself, my children, my brothers, sisters, my mom, dad, a significant other, um, that stuff has usually always been there. Uh, but I get caught up in, I want it to be a certain way so much that I'm just willing to overlook it. But it's like sweeping an elephant under the rug. Eventually, the lump is so big, you have to lift the rug and see, like, why is this like this? Um, so for me, I think that those character traits, those learned behaviors, they've always been there, or they've always had the potential to be there. And when I think about that article, I have to say it may not necessarily be that she doesn't know her husband. It may be that she hasn't allowed herself to be known by her husband. Does that
Mm,
make sense?
mm,
So, because I know that
mm,
when I don't want to look at the bad in somebody, and I'll give you an example. Um, my last husband cheated on me the entire time we were married.
mm,
And I knew he was doing it, but I
mm,
was really trying to convince myself that being in this marriage and raising our family was much more important
mm,
than being right about the situation.
mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he was always that person. I just chose to create a love story, which,
Mm.
brings me to
Come on.
don't fucking read Cinderella to your kids. Because that
Mm.
shit is not real.
Right, right, right. Wow.
It's not real. People are not perfect. People have flaws. People make mistakes. People do things that hurt people they love. Do they do it intentionally? Probably not. I know that I can look at all the things that I've done in my life that may have hurt another human being, and I can honestly tell you that out of 1,000 times, I probably only intentionally did it once.
Mm.
So for every 5,000 times I might have hurt somebody, or 500 times I might have hurt somebody, only one time did I truly intend for it to hurt them, because that's not who I truly am. So that article to me is more about she's lost herself in her marriage, or in
Mm.
her dream marriage with Cinderella.
Mm.
Where I'm at today is I'm not trying to lose myself in the Cinderella story. I am really, truly trying to just be a decent human being, kind, understanding, and empathetic and loving, no matter how much that might hurt my heart, because I truly believe that people do things that are in their nature and they don't even know it. And I'll go back to the husband who cheated for almost 10 years. Him cheating on our relationship, whether it was physically, emotionally, or whatever he had going on, that wasn't about me. That wasn't about our marriage being bad. That was about him. He had a low self-esteem. He still has a low self-esteem. And it's sad, because ultimately it cost him his wife and his family. And I empathize with that, because I did the same thing. So, at some point in time in my life, I cheated and lied to somebody and betrayed them and manipulated them, and what have you. The consequence, I promise you, was far much greater for me as the cheater than it was for the person I cheated on. So, and that's how I make peace with those types of situations. Okay, so he wasn't the knight in shining armor and the big fancy castle with the magical slipper and the pumpkin. He turned out to be that shit turd that did
Mm.
all these things to me. So how do you grow past that? Well,
Right.
did he mean to do that? Did he really think, like, hey, I'm going to go do this so that she finds out, so that I can just ruin her life? People aren't like that. Not normal. So yeah, I have to say that it's more about the ideas that we create, the expectations. And something that really helped me learn how to look at things that way was, I got challenged. I was in a relationship and somebody said to me, you have expectations of this person. For 7 days, every time you expect that person to do something, you need to do it yourself. And I'm going to tell you, in 7 days, I could not live up to that shit. I couldn't live up to it. No,
Mm.
I'm not going to expect somebody else to. So I got out of that fantasy world. I got out of the Cinderella story. That
Gotcha.
answers your question.
It does, but it answers that question. Well, well, so let me that unlocks another question. Let's go back to I think this takes us back to uh, the little girl fixer of Anise.
Okay.
Do you see a connection?
In the fixer, um,
That,
yes.
so that character, in terms
Yes,
of
I do. I think that character is part of it, because, well, maybe I'm wrong now that I'm thinking about it. So we'll just kind of, I'm going to stay on the marriage as an example, because I think
okay,
that's a good one. So I'm not sure if during that marriage I thought I was fixing someone, or if I thought I could fix myself.
mm,
Um, so I say that because that was my last husband. I'd already been through 2 marriages. I didn't want it to fail. I didn't want to feel like a failure. So I literally went from being this total wildcat young kid do whatever I want. To hell with you, whether you like it or not. You don't own me. We're just married to literally trying to be Betty Crocker in that marriage.
Okay.
So maybe I was trying to fix me, and I have to say this: I got into that marriage um, right as I was sobering up, so it's very possible that I was trying to fix me. Now, was I trying to fix him as well? Probably, because in order for somebody to live up to your expectations, they have to be exactly who you think they're supposed to be. And if they're not, then you need to fix them, right?
So let's stay there. So back to again, roles and character. So the role is, to use what term you said, the Betty Crocker wife. What, that's the role you're playing. But the character is the fixer, the little girl.
Yeah.
So the role allows that character to operate.
Absolutely.
The characters,
Oh yeah, and let me just tell you, that character can come out in all kinds of situations.
Right. And that role, right? And so you get to what you're saying. So these roles that we even when we're you get what I'm saying. Even when we think we're doing one thing, we call ourselves doing one thing. So we call ourselves being the Betty Crocker wife, whatever.
Right.
What is really happening is that character is doing what it does.
Right.
It's handling its business.
Absolutely.
And the roles, like you brought up to Shakespeare in terms of stage. The roles are the acting on the stage. They just allow
the character to come forward.
Right. They allow the opportunities for the character to get in there and do what it's going to do, and do it well, and then the and so that's why I was asking, do I see this? So, but if while you're playing the role, given circumstance, a different role emerges that has to is necessary to in this circumstance. If a different role emerges, then the question is there a character in you to do that? To play that,
absolutely.
Right? But if not, but that's all of us. But if not, you got a problem. Because I can't, that this role and my characters, they don't square. And I can't, and so then so that's where I was going with it in terms of it.
Yeah.
You said,
so I agree with that because so you have the fixer, and we'll use the the guy that got beat up.
Okay.
For this particular scenario, here I was again, created this person in my mind, Mr. Wonderful, Mr. Right with the magic slipper and the magic pumpkin. Turns out he was a shit turd. He wasn't the Mr. Right. He was Mr. All Right Now. So what happened was, when I could no longer fix him, a whole new character came aboard. And that character is no Betty Crocker, I promise you. That is like, I don't know. I can't even give that character a name. It's kind of like I don't know, like a Mad Hatter or something, just crazy and out of control and do whatever.
Right. Well, that's a good.
That's the boxer in me, I think. That MMA chick.
Okay, so let's not try. Let's leave that because that's what we're gonna pick up next time. So we got the fixer. Now we getting these characters. So now we got the MMA chick, and here's now wonderful here. So we had talked, and we're just setting the table for next time. We talked previously about drawing your character, and you gave me a description of remember we looked at it and
yes.
some images, And the image that you chose, I want to say that, but the image you chose. The image you chose seems to align with where you just went to that MMA character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're getting somewhere.
Yes, it's truly there. Okay. You know, that those images that I showed you, like kind of almost like how I see myself. It's like, you know, they call that steampunk art, and
okay.
All the steampunk art, there's always these mechanical parts and the perfect timing clock, and then you have the beauty of the woman in the picture, and then you have what I call her character of era. So you may have this Victorian style dress on her, but at the same time she's wearing these aviator glasses on her head and she's got bolts out of her. So it's like this very well put together combination of characters, you know. And being a fixer is one thing, but part of being a fixer also means that I've got to be protected. So I always have that armor. And then I've, you know, you can't be a fixer in life and you really don't need armor unless you really got that side to you that's kind of willing to walk one foot on the dark side, one foot on the light side. You know, and then you got that badass, like nothing's gonna stop me. But that badass in me, it used to be about my fist. Now, and I'm not kidding when I say that. But that badass in me now is about who I know myself to be and what I know of myself and what I know I'm capable of. That's, you know, that's that MMA chick. Because today I will stop you with some words before I ever put my hands on you. But don't think I won't pull them gloves from around my neck and knock your ass out.
I hear you.
Does that make sense?
I hear you. Oh, yeah.
I wear the gloves, but you need to know that before we put the gloves on, that confidence I have earned and grown into is way more powerful. And it makes it possible for me to be the fixer, the MMA girl, the lady in the Victorian dress, or that hot mess with her hair, you know, wrapped up on her head. And wait till you see me next time. I'm actually changing my hair, so it's going to be a whole new look for me. So we'll see. But you know, all those that steampunk women, that's I see myself like that a lot. You know.
Here's, and I want to give you this and kind of let you close with this thought, your response to this statement I'm about to make. In recovery, we're certainly, in doing work, we're certainly talking about transformation. And here's the statement. The most fundamental and important of all our transformations, is the transformation of how we occur to ourselves. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah. The only thing I can say, and we could pick up from this next time, is that's all about spiritual growth. And that, for me, in 3 very short sentences, spiritual growth is loving me, myself, and I, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent.
I like that.
You know, I had to not just learn to love myself on a human plane, but on a spiritual plane. And I'm getting better at loving others the same way. Does that make sense?
That's awesome. Thank you, Anise. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for having me again. Direct America, man. We're doing some shit here.
Hunter and Anise.
Yeah.
All right. You be well, okay, my friend?
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.